The sky was a flat sheet of gray, quiet and heavy like a held breath, the kind of afternoon that felt like it had paused, as if waiting for something to break. An old man, Walter Greaves, 78, sat alone on a chipped wooden bench, hands folded over a black walnut cane, eyes distant behind smudged bifocals. His coat, once navy, now sun-faded, hung loose on his thin shoulders, his silence thick with weight, like he had said everything he ever needed, and was now just watching time collapse. The park was empty, trees bare, paths damp from morning drizzle, birds gone, and in that stillness, he looked like part of the landscape, forgotten but rooted. Then came the sound of footsteps, quick, light, uneven. A boy, Jace Miller, 17, hood pulled low, dark hoodie zipped to the neck, hands shoved in the pocket, scuffed white sneakers, brown eyes tired in a way boys' eyes shouldn't be. He walked past, but then paused, hesitated, turned back. "You all right, sir?" His voice was careful, like it wasn't used to asking. Walter didn't answer at first, just looked at him. His mouth moved slow, like each word had to be pulled from somewhere far. "Just resting, legs aren't what they used to be." Jace nodded, but didn't move on. Instead he looked at the bench, then sat on the far edge, hands fidgeting. A quiet between them now. Not awkward, just fragile. "You come here often?" Jace asked, trying to fill the space. "Every day. Same time," Walter replied. "Keeps me from disappearing." Jace glanced at him, then looked away. "I don't know why I stopped. Guess I dunno, felt like maybe you needed something." Walter let out something that could have been a laugh, or a sigh. "Maybe I do," he said. "Maybe we both do." They sat in silence again. The wind gentle, leaves whispering. Jace's hand reached into his pocket, pulled out a sandwich, half-eaten. He held it out. "Want the rest?" "I'm not that hungry anyway." Walter looked at it, then at the boy, took it with a nod, bit into it slowly, chewed like it mattered. "Thank you." Jace shrugged. "Just seemed wrong to eat while you sat there with nothing." Walter looked ahead, eyes on the path, his voice quieter now. "My wife used to pack me lunch every day, even after she got sick. She'd wrap it in wax paper, leave a note." He paused, swallowed something hard. "Been 8 years since she passed, but some days I still reach for it, like muscle memory." Jace didn't speak, just watched, then said, "I don't know what it's like to lose someone like that, but I think sometimes it hurts just as much, when they're never really there to begin with." Walter turned his head, studied him now. "Your folks? Mom's around, I guess. Mostly works. Nights. Some days too." His voice cracked, but he masked it fast. "Dad? He's not part of the picture." A long pause. Walter nodded. "Seems we both got ghosts." "Yeah," Jay said. "But yours sound kinder." Another silence. The kind that doesn't need filling. The bench creaked beneath them. Clouds shifted. Jace leaned forward, elbows on knees. "I come here when I skip school. Feels like no one notices. No one cares. I used to think maybe, if I disappeared, it'd take days before anyone found out." Walter turned slowly, his eyes sharp now. "Someone would notice." "Who?" "Me." Jace blinked, swallowed. "What? You don't even know me." "I didn't know my wife when we first spoke, but I knew her heart. Same way I see yours now. There's kindness in you. Buried maybe, but it's there. Don't let this world dig it out of you." Jace looked away, eyes shining. He wiped his sleeve across his face, pretended it was nothing. "You got any kids?" he asked, voice low. "A daughter. Haven't seen her in 6 years. Not since the funeral." "What happened?" "Life happened. People grow apart. Pain builds walls." Jace nodded, like he understood, like maybe he'd been building walls too. They sat like that, two strangers, one carrying years, the other just beginning. Then the boy stood. "I gotta go." Walter looked up. "Same time tomorrow?" "Maybe," Jay said, but he smiled, a small tired smile, like something inside had shifted. He turned, walked down the path, back hunched against the wind. Walter watched him disappear, but he felt lighter somehow, like a seed had been planted. The next day came, and the next. The bench stayed empty. Walter waited, cane tapping gently on the ground, eyes on the path. Jace never came back, until 5 days later. A cold morning, frost on the grass. Walter saw him, but something was wrong. He was running, fast, desperate, his hands covered in blood, his face pale. He didn't stop at the bench. He ran past it, and Walter stood, heart pounding. Jace? The boy froze, turned back, eyes wild. They found her, he said, barely breathing. I didn't know what to do. Who? My mom. Walter stepped forward, voice firm. What happened? Jace didn't answer, just shook, his hands trembling. And then, from the trees, sirens, lights flashing red through the gray. Walter looked at Jace. Say nothing yet, he whispered. Not until you breathe. Jace nodded, but his eyes were wide, terrified. And as the police drew closer, Walter placed a hand on his shoulder and said, Tell me everything. But first, tell me the truth, because what happens next depends on it. The sirens drew closer, blue and red slicing through morning fog, echoing off the bare trees like a warning. Jace stood frozen, blood drying on his hands, eyes locked on Walter, not in fear, but in the way someone stares when there's nothing left to hold on to. He didn't speak. He couldn't. His chest rising too fast, like breath itself had betrayed him. Walter stepped forward, slow, steady, his cane tapping against the concrete path. You're not alone, he said. Not now. Jace blinked, lips parting, but no sound came out. Then the cruiser rolled to a stop, tires crunching over gravel. Doors opened. Boots hit the ground. 2 officers. One young, nervous energy. One older, eyes that missed nothing. You there? Hands up. Now. Jace lifted his hands, slow, trembling. But his eyes didn't leave Walter's face. He didn't do anything, Walter said, his voice stronger now, not loud, just certain. The officers hesitated, confused, reading the scene like a puzzle missing half the pieces. What's going on? The older cop asked, his hand hovering near his sidearm. There's been an incident, Jace said, barely a whisper. My mom, I found her like that. I swear. What kind of incident? The younger one snapped. Where is she? Jace's mouth opened, closed. Then finally, the apartment. Unit 6B, Rosemont Housing. The older cop's radio crackled. Dispatch already had the address. MS was on the way. A neighbor heard screaming. The officers exchanged a glance. One stayed, one left. The younger circled Jace, looked him over, studied the blood. You hurt her? No. Then why are you covered in it? I tried to move her. I thought she was gone. But then she gasped. Walter stepped in, gentle but firm. He came here because he panicked, because he had no one else, because he thought maybe I'd listen. Why you? The cop asked, suspicious. I'm just the bench he sat on once. And I was here again. The younger cop called for backup, told Jace to sit, told Walter to stay put. An ambulance howled in the distance. Closer now. Jace sat on the bench. Same spot as before. But everything had changed. His shoulders sagged. His fingers twitched. His face pale with guilt or fear or both. You think they'll believe me? He asked. Quiet. Do you want them to? I don't know, maybe. But I'm not sure I believe me. What do you mean? What if? His voice cracked. What if I lost time? What if I hurt her and don't remember? Walter leaned in. You said she gasped. You said she was alive. Yeah. Then you hold on to that. But I saw something. What? He didn't answer. The ambulance arrived. A blur of motion and shouting. Paramedics rushed in, then raced off again toward the apartment. Walter watched them go. Watched Jace's face tighten. I should have stayed with her, he whispered. I shouldn't have run. What made you? There was a man in the hallway. I think. You think? Yeah, but he wasn't real. Or maybe he was. Walter frowned. Wrong how? His eyes. They were black. Just black. Like the whole world was inside them. Walter stilled. A sudden chill crept through his spine. A memory uncoiled. A night decades ago. A knock on the door. And a shadow with no face. What did he say? Walter asked. Oh, nothing. He just looked at me. Then walked into her room. Like he belonged there. Jace was shaking now. I thought I imagined it. But I didn't. I know I didn't. The officers returned. Faces unreadable. She's alive. Barely, one said. And then to the boy. We have more questions. Jace stood. But before he left, he turned back to Walter. You'll be here tomorrow? Yes. Even if I'm not? Especially then. They led Jace away. Handcuffs loose around his wrists. And Walter stood alone again. Same bench. Same fog. But his mind raced. Black eyes. A figure from the past. Impossible. But real. And in the stillness of the park, he sat back down, his heart pounding, because he'd seen those eyes once before. And if they were back, meant something was coming. And this time, it wasn't just the boy in danger. The sky was iron gray. Quiet hung heavy in the trees, like breath held too long. The park was empty. Just Walter, his cane resting against the bench, his eyes watching the street. He had barely slept. Dreams broken by whispers. A door creaking open. Footsteps without feet. Those black eyes staring from the dark. They weren't dreams. Not really. They were memory and warning. He waited like before, as if time might circle back, as if Jace might return. But morning passed into noon, and the silence stretched, until a figure appeared. At the edge of the path. Not the boy. A woman. Tall. Dark coat. Hair twisted tight at her neck. A sharp. "You were the last one with him," she said. Walter didn't flinch. "Who are you?" "My name's Halloran. Private investigator. I was hired by his mother months ago." She was scared. Of what? Of being followed. Of someone watching the apartment. Of things moving when she wasn't looking. She paused, then added. She said, and I quote, "It's like the dark is staring at me." Walter exhaled slowly. "It is." She studied him. "So you believe him?" "The boy." "I do. I've seen things like this before. Once." Halloran pulled a folded photo from her coat. Held it out. "This man, was he the one Jace saw?" Walter took it, hands trembling just slightly. His eyes locked on the image. "Yes," he said. Quiet. Final. Halloran nodded. "I found footage. From a broken security cam in the hallway. Nothing clear. But there's a shape. Tall. Standing by her door for almost an hour. Then gone. What happened to her? She's in a coma. They're calling it blunt force trauma. But there's no object. No prints. Just a cold spot on the floor." She added, quieter. "Paramedics said it felt wrong in the room. And the boy? In holding. Not charged yet. But they're building a case. They think he snapped." "He didn't." "I know." They sat in silence. Wind stirring the branches. Leaves rustling like dry paper. "He saw it," Halloran said. "Whatever it is, I think it saw him back." Walter nodded. "It follows cracks. In the mind. In the soul. Finds the weak points. Slides through. How do you stop it? You don't. You distract it. You confuse it. Sometimes. You offer it something else." He stood. Slow. Bones aching. But steady. "There's a place," he said. "Deep in the city. Under the bridge where the lights never reach. You burn sage. You bring a mirror. And you never speak first." Halloran raised an eyebrow. "You think this thing can be trapped?" "No. But it can be reminded that not all doors stay open." He started walking. Cane tapping the rhythm of resolve. Halloran followed. Voice low. "What if it's not after the boy? What if it's after you?" Walter didn't stop walking. Then it should have finished the job years ago. They moved through the thinning streets. Past shuttered stores. Graffiti walls. Puddles reflecting clouds. Under the bridge. The air turned thick. Like wet smoke. The ground slick with moss and old oil. They found the spot. A ring of stone. A scorch mark from long ago. Walter lit the sage. Held the mirror to the dark. Halloran watched. Silent. One hand on the small pistol beneath her coat. The flame flickered. The wind died. And then, the sound. Not a voice. Not quite. But a pressure in the ear. Like someone breathing from the inside. The mirror fogged. A shape moved behind it. And Walter said, "I remember you. I remember the child you took. I remember the house in December. The hallway that never ended. The mother who begged too late." He stepped forward. The mirror trembled. "This is not your place. This boy is not yours. You hear me?" Then, the mirror cracked. Just once. A single thin line. But Walter staggered. Blood at his nose. Eyes wide. Halloran caught him. Steadying his frame. "What did you see?" she asked. He looked at her. And whispered. "It's not after him. Not just him. It wants all of us. And it's already inside." Her phone buzzed. A message from the station. Her hand dropped to her gun. But it felt too small. Too late. Walter turned his face to the city. Eyes full of storm. "It's begun again," he said. And the mirror, though broken, reflected something still moving. Something still watching.